I'd like to point you to a press release from the Trump administration's Office of Science and Technology Policy. The title reads, Trump administration releases science and technology accomplishments from first term. And the highlights include ending the COVID-19 pandemic. This press release went out on October 27, 2020, 4 years ago this week. May I remind you, the pandemic had not ended at that point. It wasn't remotely even close to ending. That very week, the U.S. reported more than 489,000 new cases, a new record at the time, and 800 Americans were dying every day. This nonsense pretty much encapsulates the gaslighting, delusion, and misinformation that contributed to Donald Trump's mismanagement of the coronavirus pandemic, arguably the biggest challenge and failure of his presidency. So what happens if Trump is reelected and he's hit with another public health challenge of this magnitude? Well, there's absolutely no need to guess. All we have to do is look back at how he handled it the first time. Right out of the gate, then President Trump and his administration failed to adequately acknowledge the existence of the virus and its potential to spread. On January the 22nd, 2020, the Centers for Disease Control confirmed the first case of coronavirus in the United States. Trump told CNBC, quote, "We've got it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China, and we have it under control. It's just going to be fine." And this would be the start of Donald Trump explicitly downplaying the virus. Over the next 2 months, cases would continue to rise in the United States, and Trump's attitude was, it'll just go away. Here's what he told the American people on February the 27th, 2020.
It's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle. It will disappear. And from our shores, it could get worse before it gets better. It could maybe go away. We'll see what happens. Nobody really knows.
2 days later, on February the 29th, 2020, the CDC reported the first known COVID death in America. And we all remember the next 2 weeks. It was a whirlwind. On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared coronavirus a pandemic. On March 13th, the United States declared a national emergency. On March 15th, the states began to implement shutdowns to try to avoid the spread of the coronavirus. This is also around the time when Donald Trump began falsely comparing the coronavirus to the seasonal flu, once again downplaying the severity of COVID. This happened on March 24th, 2020.
We lose thousands of people a year to the flu. We never turned the country off. We lose much more than that to automobile accidents. We didn't call up the automobile companies and say, stop making cars. We don't want any cars anymore.
On April 3rd, 2020, the CDC made its official recommendation that people wear masks in public to help stop the spread. Trump said, nah, not really my style. This is what he said on April 3rd, 2020.
So it's voluntary. You don't have to do it. They suggest it for a period of time. But this is voluntary. I don't think I'm going to be doing it. So with the masks, it's going to be really a voluntary thing. You can do it. You don't have to do it. I'm choosing not to do it.
Again, that was April of 2020. Donald Trump did not wear a mask in public until July, and even then, reluctantly and on occasion. Initially, COVID testing was the United States' big issue. The Trump administration, along with the CDC, struggled to develop and roll out a testing strategy. During the first few weeks, COVID test kits were malfunctioning in labs across the country, and it turned out there wasn't exactly a plan to get diagnostic tests out to the states, nor did federal officials ensure that there would be enough supplies. So commercial labs eventually got involved, but by that time, the demand for tests was so high that the backlogs persisted for weeks. Trump's failure to scale up testing in the United States would hamper the efforts to contain the virus for months to come. And we just found out through reporting by Bob Woodward that during this time, when Americans were desperate for COVID tests, Trump was secretly sending COVID testing machines to Russia's Vladimir Putin for his personal use. Eventually, America's COVID testing operation met the moment. But by then, according to Donald Trump, the reason America had so many COVID cases was because our testing capacity was too good. Here's what he said in May and June of 2020.
We have more cases because we do the greatest testing. If we didn't do testing, we'd have no cases. When we have a lot of cases, I don't look at that as a bad thing. I look at that as, in a certain respect, as being a good thing because it means our testing is much better. So if we were testing 1 million people instead of 14 million people, we would have far fewer cases, right? So I view it as a badge of honor. Really, it's a badge of honor.
A badge of honor. Days after he declared a lot of COVID cases to be a badge of honor, in June of 2020, the U.S. recorded 100,000 COVID deaths. Then there was the medical misinformation, which spread almost as fast as the virus itself, thanks in part to Donald Trump. He took to Twitter, to the campaign trail, to the White House briefing room to push unfounded remedies for the virus like hydroxychloroquine, a drug found to have no effectiveness against the virus. And then there was whatever this was.
With a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light. And I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
Oh, it's nice that he mentioned that maybe you should use medical doctors before you inject yourself with bleach or very strong light. This was a very unserious man leading the country at a deadly serious time. Let's remember, this was all playing out in 2020, an election year. And Donald Trump refused to let a silly little virus stop him from campaigning in person. He continued to hold in-person rallies, unmasked and unbothered. Many of those rallies turned into super spreader events. According to a study by Stanford, 700 people died as a result of attending those rallies. In October of 2020, Trump himself tested positive for coronavirus. He was admitted to Walter Reed Medical Center. You'd think this would be a wake-up call for Trump, but you'd be wrong. After fewer than 3 days in the hospital, Trump got into an SUV, mask on, windows up, with two members of the Secret Service to wave to supporters on the perimeter of Walter Reed. It was a flagrant disregard for COVID precautions and the health and safety of his Secret Service. Trump now takes credit for the eventual rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine. He even claimed in the December 2021 interview that he, quote, came up with the vaccine with 3 vaccines, all very, very good, end quote. Talk about fudging a resume. But early on, Trump was unwilling to put his full-throated endorsement behind the vaccine, and he publicly opposed vaccine mandates, turning many of his supporters into vaccine skeptics. And just this week, Trump started publicly toying with the idea of giving a prominent health policy role to RFK Jr., a well-known skeptic of the COVID vaccine and of other crucial immunizations. Trump said, and I quote, "He can do anything he wants. He wants to look at the vaccines. He wants everything. I think it's great." End quote. And according to NBC News exclusive reporting, RFK Jr. may be poised to play a key health role in the next administration, focusing on childhood chronic disease. Donald Trump spent all of 2020 playing down a pandemic that would go on to kill more than 1 million Americans. He told you it was no big deal, that it would just disappear, that social distancing wasn't necessary, and that masks were a nuisance. That was all a lie. And he knew it. He admitted to the journalist Bob Woodward as early as February 7th, 2020, that the coronavirus was, in fact, serious.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flu. I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
So if you're wondering how Donald Trump would handle another deadly pandemic, simply believe him the first time.